Good evening. Welcome back to SL Consulting. You have questions, answers, money, give me, I don't know, pay for a septic tank. There you go. Young man writes, good evening, Clarey. How much for a Clarey test on the Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne? Bruce Wayne is the original Batman, but Thomas Wayne was his father. It is best to type it in as Flashpoint Batman. If you don't include the Flashpoint, then the search engine will give you the character from the wrong timeline. This character is from the alternate timeline that the Flash created. In this timeline, Thomas and Martha Wayne survived the shooting in the alley while Bruce died. Thomas Wayne obviously became wealthy, and I know he was a great surgeon at some point, which means he had a legitimate degree. Good. I'm glad you fed me this stuff, because when we get into this comic book world, which is also impossible and not real, like none of them really went to college. Oh, he was tinkering in his basement. He got hit by the Plasto Beam. Become Plasto Beam Man, and then they all fight crime till they're dead. So it's kind of like half the Clarey test formula is determined there. He also runs a casino to finance his war on crime, which is real work. I think that you would definitely get along with him, considering that he isn't afraid to use guns, lethal force. He's arguably more practical than Bruce is. Well, I wish I could hear. This has nothing to do with your request, but I just can't get into this. Every possible permutation of comic books. I don't know if you guys remember Twin Peaks. And I was like getting into it. And then when I realized the Asian girl had an affair with the guy in jail, I'm like, oh, I see. You guys have no effing clue what you're doing. You're just going to make this the most incestuous. Everything is related and everyone has a backstabbing thing. And it really is it's the same criticism I have of, Hollywood. It's like, can you guys not come up with any new ideas? Do we have to make Bruce Wayne's dad the Batman? Can you not? Look, you got all this raw energy and talent and skill to write alternative universes. Why can't you just take 2% of that energy and come up with a new character? Plastic Man or Fibbity Phipps. Oh my gosh, he's got the Fibbity Phipps ray. Why can't you just come up with a new idea? So now we're Thomas Wayne as Batman, Flashpoint. And this is 2011. He's almost 10 years old. So this is the Thomas Wayne version of Batman from Wikipedia. Thomas Wayne, Batman, is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics, created by Jeff Johns, writer Andy Kubert. Okay, you guys have nothing. I mean, I don't hate you guys personally, but go fuck off. Is this the best you could do? Oh, but what if Batman was a woman and she was a lesbian and she was black? I mean, come on, Jeff, Andy. Don't you guys have I have an idea for a comic book. I just don't have anyone who can draw. I got a great idea. The more and more I've thought about it, I'm like, wow, this is really deep. And it would go, and it's an original thing, very much like Terrence Popp's book, Killer of the Killers. If you guys want to see an original idea, if you guys are starved for originality, a new idea, go pick up Killer of Killers. Terrence Popp, available on Amazon. But Jeff and Andy, you guys should be ashamed of yourself. What this Bruce Wayne's dad didn't die. Okay. Made the first appearance of Flashpoint 1. He is a hardened version of Thomas Wayne seen in Jeff Johns' alternate timeline comic Flashpoint, whose son was killed instead of Martha Wayne and himself. The character returned to the main DC universe in DC Rebirth as a revived amalgamation. I really, guys, I'm not a big comic book guy, but if you just came up with, you want to have a black character or a female character, I'm ready for it. Like a new, but it has to be unique. It's like, oh yeah, she's a badass chick. She just happens to be a chick in black. Who cares? Oh wow, she's got her, Tito beam or whatever. You guys can't come up with something new. His character returned to me of rebirth. Amalgam's original self that was killed by Joe Chill, and the Flashpoint Batman was killed by Eobard Thawne in a storyline revolving around the smiley face button from Watchmen. Jesus Christ. Anything but to think up of a new idea, huh, guys? Background. All right, so we're going to assume he majored in the right thing. He works a real job. What else? He might have come from wealth, but we'll go through it. An alternative reality of Thomas Wayne appears in Flashpoint version of Batman. In this continuity, Thomas turns into a crime-fighting vigilante after he and Martha Wayne witness their son Bruce Wayne murdered by a gunman in an alley during a botched mugging. When Barry Allen, that's the Flash, from the original timeline, learns that this universe has Batman, he attempts to elicit his aid in restoring his lost abilities and undo the changes made to the timeline. When Barry enters the Batcave, he expects to find Bruce, but is immediately attacked by this far more violent Caped Crusader. Okay, cool. I guess he is no match without his speedster ability. It's only when Barry calls out the name Bruce that Thomas ceases his assault and the two are able to talk. When Barry learns that this timeline's Bruce Wayne was killed as a boy, he is able to deduce that the man standing from him is Thomas Wayne. Alan reveals to this Batman that the timeline he is living in is an altered version of his own with significant changes, resulting in a much darker and more violent world. Batman, Thomas Wayne, asks Barry the details of his son's life after his mainstream counterpart's own death. Willing to change history and ready to sacrifice his own life to restore his son, Batman agrees to help Barry rewrite the timeline, which they believe has been altered by Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. First step of which is recreating the accident that gave Alan his powers and turned him into the Flash. This iteration, Batman is subject. I think it's just more about the second attempt. Barry's powers. Plot and despair. I'm going to assume, because I have to, because there's no canon. It doesn't go. Let's say Thomas Wayne came from this. Men who start casinos are probably not trust fund babies. I'm going to assume Thomas Wayne did not come from wealth. And just like Wayne Industries was started with his name, I'm going to assume that Thomas Wayne came from relative poverty, or he didn't have a spoon in his mouth, silver spoon in his mouth. So he did not come from wealth. He probably majored in something worthwhile going back into the day. And Thomas Wayne was probably born in the 20s. So we're going to have the grandfather clause him in on the worthless degree. But he probably, if he's Batman, he's a scientist. He probably has some training, maybe didn't go to college for it. But he has no worthless degree. He's worked the entire time. And like every other superhero comic book guy or gal, they are a vigilante until they're dead. And then you never know. They come back from death because Flash went back into the time. You changed the timeline. And, Chris Beckloff loves it when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meet Batman. I'm kind of like, we're not reaching here, are we? We're not stretching at all, huh? So he get a perfect score. Would I want to have a beer with him? Hell yeah. I don't think you're going to get this any other answer from me for superheroes because they are selfish and they're independent minded. So yeah, I'd like to have a beer with Thomas Wayne. I think he should run for office. But it's and I know it's not about the Clarey test, but it's just like I'd like to get into comic books, but really we can't come up with something new. We just got to rehash shit from the 40s. Like 80 years ago, we got to rehash this shit. So that's it. All right, let's get to the super chat. XX Sparks. Hey, Cappy for $2. Hey, XX Sparks. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? Bob Poop, $2 Canadian. Poop. Hey, I got $2. What'd you do? I read poop on the internet. Oh, really? Is that who you made? Yeah, that's how I made my money. Instead of Wayne Manor, it's Cappy Manor, and I'd have like an ascot and a very nice smoker jacket. I'd be rolling a snifter of scotch around like, how'd you make your million? People said poop on super chats. That's why I made my millions. Cappy Manor. All right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. Oh, here we go. I'll answer. Nero Smith. Spike Spiegel versus Vash the Stampede. Who wins? Obviously, Vash the Stampede because he's superhuman, but Spike Spiegel is way cooler than Vash the Stampede. Vash the Stampede was a pacifist pussy. Love and peace. I mean, Nicholas Wolfwood was way more cool than Vash the Stampede. but none of them even hold a candle to Spike Spiegel or John Wick. That was one of the biggest letdowns. What's it called? What was Trigun? One of the biggest letdowns where it's just a bunch of pacifist pussy shit in the end. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So, all right. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.